Oh, I'm gonna sneeze.
Do it.
Excuse me.
You muted yourself. That's professional.
I know. Well, I didn't mute my sound recording, so Caitlin can hear me sneeze, but you can't.
Oh, I'm gonna listen to it. I hope you know.
Oh no, that's not good.
I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna blackmail you with your sneeze. Alright everybody, welcome back to North of No Return. I am your co-star, and Austin's your co-star, also known as co-hosts. I'm Tristan, that's Austin, as previous stated. Woo, Austin's turn.
Okay, hi, hello everyone. Yes, I am co-host Austin, joined as always by co-host Tristan. And today, drumroll please, our topic is going to be talking about, ooh, good drumroll. Look at that, it's a nice ADR already being done. Our topic for today is streaming services, specifically Spotify, but also kind of all streaming services for music and how that affects the music industry and affects the artists and stuff.
Woo! We love streaming services.
Streaming services, everyone uses them. Everyone has Spotify or Amazon
Yeah.
Music or Apple Music on their phone. Who doesn't, you know?
They give us the widest variety of music.
Exactly, they
Forever.
open up so much.
Your phone is now infinite record drops. Like,
Imagine, think about how big a record is too. You can fit a lot of records on a phone. Like I don't know how they squeeze it down in there. Like that has to be pretty impressive to like take a record and fold it up and put it into the phone case.
well, I'd imagine it's kind of like the same way that like they squeeze you into the computer so I can see you right now.
Oh yeah. Similar technology, some kind of like teleportation thing.
Yeah, I think I made that joke last time.
I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, we're running out already. We just started back up and we're already running out of jokes.
2 weeks in, we're already out of new ideas. This is not good.
Uh-oh. No, we got tons of ideas, just not jokes.
Yeah, jokes are hard.
Yeah, we're the geniuses and like the comics just they're getting fired.
Yeah, we need to hire new writers.
Yeah, this is all scripted, just so you know.
Yeah, 100%.
This is probably the most scripted podcast in the world.
Yep. We have a crack team of writers who are giving us live prompts on the teleprompter. I'm reading. You can't see it because it's not a visual medium, but just off to my left, there's a guy holding up little cue cards. I'm reading off of those.
You got a guy too?
Yeah.
I got a guy. He's holding up a TV though.
A whole TV? Dang.
Yeah, he's holding up a TV, like the old TVs that weigh like 80 pounds too.
Oh wow, that guy's buff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must be a bodybuilder.
Very much so, probably. I don't know if he builds bodies or not, but like Frankenstein.
So, well, before we get into, I think we both have talked about some of the cons about streaming services, right? Maybe we'll talk about some of the pros first. Like, what are some things that are good about streaming services? Like, why do we like them? Because obviously, they're popular, and they gotta be popular for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's an incredible resource to listen to anything ever, like in the whole world. Like, you can listen to anything from anywhere, anytime, in the click of a few buttons.
Yeah, it's the same reason why the internet is so popular. Like, information is accessible to anyone at any time. Same thing with music. Any kind of, like, you can find the most obscure stuff on Spotify. You still be able to stream it, listen to it, learn from it. There's so much content out there for us to engage in and enjoy.
Yeah. And then, like, I think a huge advantage is that we can listen to. It's like easy to hop genres, and like that, probably that entails all around the world too. Like you go to a record store and you're into metal or you're into rock, you're looking in that certain section. But you go on Spotify, you look up metal. You like if you're a metalhead, you won't listen to that all the time. But it's like, okay, I want to try this. Like Taylor Swift released a new album, I'm gonna listen to it. It's not metal, but I'm gonna try it. Because back in the day, if you had to buy it, it was like a physical. Like you had to put a lot of investment.
There was some risk in there, right? Yeah, you're like, I put money down. I have to, like, hopefully, I'm not making a bad purchase. You know, I'm not gonna waste my money on something I don't like.
Yeah. All you gotta do is look it up on YouTube and just listen, and then you're set. That's when you make your opinion. And like you can listen to stuff all across the world. Like you can listen to calypso. You can listen to like traditional like dance hall music or all this stuff.
Yeah, from anywhere in the world or any time frame, it's pretty much available. Any kind of style of music you want. And one thing that I think we bring up a lot as a con, but I think we kind of twist it into a pro, is that like singles, right? Like, sure, it's a little weird that there aren't albums anymore, and that albums aren't as big of a deal as they used to be. But the single is still kind of a cool thing we got out of streaming, like one big song that everyone knows about, that everyone's just listening to. It's like the song of the summer, or like the song of the season, right? Like there's always a hot single out that people are listening to and people are engaging with.
And I don't think you're saying this, but just to be clear that like there were singles before streaming.
Well, yeah. But like,
just to be clear,
the way streaming blows up a single, you know what I mean? Like, there were radio singles.
You know
and
anything
stuff.
about Ice Spice? She's like a new upcoming rapper out of New York.
Yeah.
I think she just released her first album, but she was already like global, and like I think Drake signed her before she even released an album. So like she had like a few songs. She did a song with Taylor Swift and Nicki Minaj, two of the biggest female singers for their genre, by the time she released an album. So like that just shows how much power.
You get that much clout and fame with just singles. You don't have to release the album.
Yeah, I think she.
Which is an interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean like that's crazy. My opinion on Ice Spice is still being formed, but like that's a crazy thing we're at in like like how we are now. Like you can be one of the biggest artists without an album or like a sizable backlog.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that, I think that's the fact that like a single can blow up like that. It makes becoming popular in music so much more accessible, right? Like, there's still obviously boundaries, there's still biases, it's still the most popular singers get most of the money and stuff. But you could be self-published. You don't have to go through a record label. There's more freedom to make your own music. It's easier than ever to put yourself out there and get listened to.
And like
stuff.
that's a huge pro for creators, and I think that should never be taken away. But like as a consumer, all you get out of that is like, oh, there's so much stuff to listen to. I'm never gonna like get through this. Which it's a pro and con, because it's like you always want more content, but at the same time, you don't want like your potentially favorite of what it is, because it's everywhere nowadays. But like you don't want your potential favorite artist to be hidden among like thousands of artists that you're never gonna like care about.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sensory overload because too many choices. Like choice paralysis. Like, how do I know what to pick when there's a million options?
Yeah, it's like when you look up stuff on like online. It's like how is peanut butter made? 1,000 things are gonna come up that's like, oh, peanut butter sold nearby, and it's like, well, that's not what I was looking for. It's just that we have so much stuff out there that it can get in the way of finding what you actually want.
Yep. And I think that's one of the first big cons of streaming services. It's just the sheer amount of content. It's like that. It's a pro and a con. That like our podcast itself, we're able to put this out there for free. We don't make any money off of this, but we're able to also do it for free. It doesn't cost us to do. We don't have to like pay any money to Spotify. Like, we can just put it out there, and we're creating more content for people to enjoy. Now, if it's good content, it's another question entirely. Hopefully, it's good content.
To me, it's my favorite content.
I mean, obviously, in fact, I'd say.
And I'm the least biased person.
Yeah, probably the best content on all of Spotify, I'd say.
I mean, like, if all streaming services got like deleted, this is the saddest thing that would happen.
Yeah, losing out on our podcast.
Would be gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
So you better go tell your friends.
Yeah.
Preach the word.
Preach the word.
Yeah. Taylor Swift, the Beatles.
Yeah.
Like a bug? What's that?
No one cares about that.
I listen to North and No Return.
Exactly. Go out and preach the gospel of North and No Return. Stay on the street corners, yell it out to the sky.
Yeah. Hold a sign, you might make some money too.
Yeah.
Hold a sign that says $1 for North and No Return.
Yeah. Maybe people will be confused and give you money.
Yeah. They'll be like, I'm so happy you told me about this.
They'll be so grateful for getting to hear it.
Yeah. All right. So also, I know you have some big ideas you want to talk about in this. Mm-hmm. So, you start us off in the serious part, in the deep end of it.
Deep end. So in the more serious con part. Okay. Well, I think the thing everyone talks about, right? The big topic that most people already know about or have heard of, but let's go a little more depth in, is the deal with the Spotify pay their artists enough, right? That's something that gets talked about a lot. Are they not paying their artists enough? That kind of stuff. So we pulled up.
I've got the money stats.
Okay, yeah. So
I can read it.
Before we even get into discussion, let's look at the hard facts first. Look at the data and then make our opinion off of that. So let's have Tristan pull up the stats.
So I got a bunch of streaming services and the pay. So Spotify pays 0.3 cents to 0.5 cents per stream, and Apple Music pays from 7.8 cents or a whole cent based on where you find it. Apple Music advertises that they pay a whole cent per listen, so that's what I went with. YouTube Music pays 0.8 cents. Pandora, which hardly exists, pays 0.13 cents.
Ooh.
So that one's kind of crazy. And then Amazon Music pays 0.4 cents. and Tidal pays 1.3 cents. And I know a lot of you guys probably don't know about Tidal. It's not a huge thing, but if you're looking for a new streaming service, if you're getting sick of Spotify, Tidal pays their artists more, and they treat their artists better, and the music quality is like the best you're gonna get out of a streaming service, if any of that stuff you care about. Like if I didn't have so much stuff on Spotify and I wasn't like a family plan with Spotify, I'd jump to Tidal. So I just want to like throw that out. Free advertising.
I think it's a good thing to bring up that there's options. Everyone uses Spotify, right? But there are other options. So Apple Music exists, Tidal exists. Even Amazon Music, they pay more than Spotify. They don't pay that much, but they pay a little bit more.
Well, on average, because it goes 0.3 to 0.5, and I'll get into the difference later. I don't want to spoil that yet.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Well, also, so on Spotify specifically, I use all my Spotify, so I research mainly Spotify. But you can only withdraw money if you make $10, and it's still taxable. So, but like that means you gotta get 4,200 streams if they're all, if they're all 0.5 cents. Or I think that's the math. It's something like that. You don't make any money until you make the first 4,200 streams, because you can't take it out until then.
Yeah, I think that's something to consider, right? Is that there's kind of that bias where it's more top-weighted, right? Where the top percent of Spotify artists are gonna make, almost all the money. It's harder for those small artists to make any money off of it. Even they're putting in just as much, if not more, work than those big artists.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Continue before we get to the money.
Oh yeah. And one thing I was gonna point out was, I guess kind of the devil's advocate though, is a lot of big artists, like you look at like what the big artists today? I guess like
The
Taylor Swift
Weeknd.
comes to mind, Weeknd comes
Ed
to
Sheeran.
mind, Post Malone, Ed Sheeran, right?
Even Imagine Dragons.
They have plenty. Imagine Dragons. They have plenty of money. So why do we necessarily complain about Spotify not paying the artists enough? Could you talk a little bit on that, Tristan? Like,
Well,
I'm playing devil's advocate for a second here. Like,
how we were just
it's not like
talking.
they're poor people.
We were just talking about how Spotify is such an inviting service for people coming into the scene. So if you're a new musician, if you're a new podcaster, if you're like anything, it's so easy to get on the scene, and it takes a lot of work to make music. So when you do make a song that you're really proud of, you post it on this, and like that's like it's a huge vulnerability. You're posting it to the world, and if it does get seen, you want to get paid, and it's discouraging if you have to release like 18 albums and you're making like you have like a sizable viewer, like let's say you're like 1,000 listeners, which is a lot, like 1,000 people. That's a lot of people. You got 1,000 people that listen to like a casual amount of your songs. You're still not making enough money to have that be your job, which it's fair where it shouldn't be like a crazy amount, but like 4,200 listens to make $10, that means you need like a sizable fan base of like 10,000 people to make money, to make
Probably
like a
even
decent
a
money.
billion.
Yeah, like, and like 10,000 people is enough to fill a stadium. Like that's a ton of people. I've like, other than like huge stadiums, I've never seen 10,000 people in one place.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard to make, to get money if you're a smaller or medium-sized artist.
Yeah, and then like if you do make music, like if you make because there's music that you can make faster, like hyperpop. It's like that, like or like hip hop albums kind of come out like once every year, but like some like folk and stuff that comes out like every few years. So if you would only release an album, and people don't listen to albums like consistently, after the first drop, you have a huge drop in listens. So
It spikes up and then goes back
yeah,
down.
so if you get like, let's say you get like 100,000 listens, that's like not that much money for your album, and it doesn't like really keep progressing until you release a single or a new new album. So it's like it's so like with all that work you're putting into it, you should be getting paid more, and especially when Spotify is making as much money as like they're a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, they could definitely be sharing that revenue a little bit better with their profits.
Yeah, and I know,
a little
like-
bit smaller.
And it's capitalism. Capitalism and music have always been, an explosive combination. Like, you don't want to put them together, but it's impossible to separate them at this point. So like, I know Spotify has to like make their investors happy and stuff, but it's just at a point we should hold them to a higher standard because like we have before, like us like as listeners we have before, and they've changed how much money they pay and how many opportunities they give people and stuff like this. So it's like be aware. So I think like it's not necessarily that you need to make your artist have more money. It should be that like you want artists to be able to make more money. Because I agree, I don't think Taylor Swift needs more money. I don't think she doesn't deserve more money. I just don't think she needs more money. So like, but I do think that like, well, it's a smaller band. Rupert Waits, who's like a local guy in St. Cloud, I think he needs more money for what he does.
Yeah, the amount of work that has to go in, stuff like that. It doesn't. The amount of work that goes in for the amount of money you get out just doesn't make it viable or very good for the amount of money. The money to work ratio is not a good and healthy balance for the musicians that perform in them. I just was saying that the ratio of work to money, like the input you put in to the output you get out, it's not worth it for small musicians. It's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to. You can't make it your career. You know, you're making $10 every month. That's not. You can't live on $10 a month. You know, especially in this economy, it's not gonna happen.
And then like I think isn't Spotify's making their subscriptions more expensive too? Like right now especially.
Yeah. And now of all
Like,
times,
yeah.
everything else is going up. And they gotta pay more for music.
Yeah. And then and then it's also another fact that like as a person going into music or as somebody going into some kind of media, you should be doing it because you love it and you have a passion for it, not that to get rich and famous. But when you do get a certain following, you feel rich and famous. So like I mean like 10,000 people is nothing to scoff at, like I said earlier. You should be getting paid, maybe not enough to like make rent. You should still have a job, but like that you should be able to get enough to like have like a good like a vacation or something, you know. You should be able to pay.
Yeah, that could be like it could be a side hustle.
Yeah.
It could be a second source of income. Like imagine if we had 10,000 listeners. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
If we got double digits like on a podcast, like that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Like our active listeners, if we had that double digits, would be like pretty cool.
Well, I can't imagine if there's double digits of people that wouldn't listen to us two talking back and forth. Those would be some interesting people.
Yeah, I mean, I got my mom, me, you, probably your mom. That's 4.
That's 4. Yeah. That's almost halfway there.
Yeah, so come on, guys, invite somebody. Just get this one double digits, and we don't care about any other one past this.
Tell your friends how cool it would be listening to us. Only the coolest people listen to us.
Here, we'll hold it ransom. If we get double listens, we'll stop the podcast, and you never need to listen to it again.
That's like, please make it stop. Well, yeah, you gotta listen to it to make it stop.
It's like a reverse threat.
Secret. Yep.
Like, I promise we'll keep making these, and you have to listen to them until we get double views, double viewer retention or whatever.
You're forced. You can't take your AirPods out. You have to listen to our music, our podcast. You don't have an option.
Yeah.
You're trapped in the Spotify matrix.
Yeah, because that's all Spotify is. What's another big point about streaming? Well, you use Apple Music. Is there any like? Do you have anything about that?
Well, I was gonna say I don't use Apple Music that much. I mostly use Amazon Music.
Oh, okay. Anything about that? Then?
I was gonna say for Amazon Music, like I said, they pay slightly more than Spotify, but not that much more. So it's kind of like, not that much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, Amazon Music is like not the best because they seem to have a bit more of a filter on what they let play through. Like they don't. It's a lot harder to get Amazon Music than Spotify, and they don't have a lot of the more obscure artists and stuff, or like especially obscure albums from obscure artists. You know, like they don't have the full collection that Spotify does.
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting the worst of both worlds. I use Amazon for the same reason you do. I have a family plan. I'm able to get it for pretty cheap through a family plan, but I don't. It's kind of getting the worst of both worlds. You're getting the low accessibility for new artists, worse levels of content, and not the best pay. So not to dig on myself, but Amazon Music is kind of not the best platform for listening.
I think I was always fascinated by YouTube Music because, like, other than Tidal, I'd use Tidal, obviously. I think it doesn't have a huge variety of content, but I think it's good enough. Like, if I'm listening to a small artist, 1.3 cents is sizable. If I listen to, like, a whole album, that's, like, 30 cents. Like, if it's 20 songs or something. A little bit less than 30
Is
cents.
the 1.3, is that what Tidal pays?
That's what Tidal pays. Yeah, I got distracted there.
Tidal, yeah, okay, yeah. So Tidal, then, they put down, they pay serious cash.
Yeah, they have, like, really good sound quality.
How much more? Here's something. I might pull this up unless you have it off the top of your head. But how much more is Tidal than Spotify
I don't know.
for like subscription cost?
I would think around
pull that
the
up.
same. Maybe a little. I can't imagine more than like $1 more or something. But yeah, look that up. And then I'll talk about YouTube. YouTube Music's always fascinated me because it has good sound quality. It pays 0.8 cents, and anybody can use it. Like I don't think anybody off Apple can use that, right? I might be wrong about that actually. So and like you can use the videos, any songs there, even like meme songs and stuff. And like it's all, like I'm never gonna say YouTube Music's better or worse, but it's kind of like cool. It's kind of like just like a cool thing. Like YouTube Music's kind of like the black sheep out of all these, I think. Other than Pandora, but there's a reason Pandora isn't used.
Yeah, Pandora's not as popular, but well, hey, I pull up the pricing. I'll give you this right now. So Spotify Premium, it looks like, is currently $11 or $10.99.
I think that I think
that's gonna be going.
I think that's gonna go up to $11.99.
I think that's going up. Yeah, I think it's up to 11. It looks like. But then Tidal is they have a free option, just like Spotify, but that has ads obviously.
It's probably not great.
And then they have and lower. It looks like lower sound quality.
Yep.
Then they have the normal version, which is $9.99 a month, so $1 less than Spotify, or hopefully soon $2 less than Spotify, which it looks like is giving you like the kind of Spotify premium level quality where it's ad free and everything. But then they also have something called the Plus plan. That's $19.99 a month. That's quite a bit more. That's double the price.
Yeah, but then that's
the stuff
that, like, if you're big into sound quality, instead of buying like a DAC or a huge player, you get good sound quality out of that. It's not compressed or anything, you know. Like YouTube Music's pretty compressed and doesn't have great sound quality. Spotify is not great at all. Like I don't really mind too much.
That was something I was gonna bring up though. Amazon Music recently has been adding in. They now have like Dolby Atmos and like that kind of stuff, where like the higher quality surround sound music and stuff. That's one thing I gotta get. I was kind of bashing Amazon Music. I still don't like it, but that's something that I gotta give them credit for. They do have high quality streaming. And that's saying this Plus.
I wish Spotify had better, but.
Well, hey, that's a reason to switch, right? If you want to switch to something like Tidal, it's gonna pay their artists better. You'll get higher quality sound. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, don't switch because you gotta keep our listeners on Spotify so they keep listening to us, obviously. But
yeah, we're posting this on Spotify. Praise you as a streaming service.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, actually, everybody go use go use Spotify, and then I'll
use Spotify for podcasts. Because I don't know how that podcast pricing works. I don't know if it's fair, so we're gonna assume that it's okay for now. Tell proven otherwise.
Yeah, if you get enough people to listen to us, we'll make a part 2 and we'll tell you the pricing of podcasts.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your goal. That's your mission.
If you make us enough listeners to start making money,
they're
not making enough money, and then we'll know for sure, how much they pay us and stuff.
We'll do a reverse. We'll be like, okay, we'll give you guys every listen you guys give us. We'll give you 0.003 cents.
Wait. I don't think I have the bank account to back up this promise.
I do. I can do it single-handed.
Okay, there we go. Boom.
$1 would
That's a good point. Yeah. We get 2. Never mind. I think that back. We get 2 listeners, so it's fine. I can pay 2 cents.
Yeah. I think every view we've ever gotten, $1 would give triple as much as we would need to give out. 0.003 something.
That's a good point.
Do you got another topic?
Well, yeah, you've been hinting at something this whole episode. I want to hear what you have to say.
Wait, do you want to bring up the shuffle? Because there was a controversy in shuffle.
We were talking about that.
Spotify.
Yeah. Shuffle is not, purely random. Each song feeds into the next song to kind of fit a similar vibe and stuff. And I've noticed one thing. I use both Amazon and Spotify. I noticed it on both. It seems like it definitely favors certain songs. Like if I start to skip a song in my playlist, I don't want to listen to it at the time. It won't play that song for a long time just because it knows I don't like it. It's gonna skip it, which is not a good thing because shuffle should be purely random. That way, it's not favoring bigger artists more than smaller artists. It's giving an equal amount of streams to everyone, and also giving your ears an equally listening experience. It gives you an equal chance to find a new song, right?
Yeah, I mean, and who cares if something by Mayhem or some huge screamo band goes right into some indie pop stuff, you know? It's who cares if it's
that's the point of shuffle.
It's fun, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of funny when it happens. Plus, my main playlist has hard rock, rap, pop, country, folk. So I like to hear that. I like to mix up my genres as I'm listening and stuff. So if all I'm hearing is metal or all I'm hearing is rap, I think it's kind of repetitive. I'd like to hear a mix of all at the same time,
Yeah, it's kind of like a DJ, but I'm not asking for a DJ. I'm asking for random.
Yep.
But,
If they had a separate DJ mode, that'd be cool, but they don't. I don't know.
that
Does
actually
Spotify
would
have
be,
something like that?
They got
Okay,
like
They have like an AI
like-
DJ or something, right?
yeah, I don't like it too much because it just like, I don't like how it interjects in between songs. It like starts talking to you and it's like, why don't do that? Don't talk.
That's weird.
But I mean, that's not a huge deal to me. That's like, it's just kind of strange that the shuffle doesn't actually work as a shuffle. It seems like they put more work into it. But I guess if that makes people stay on longer, and if they're not like a spot, if they're not premium, then like they listen to more ads because music kind of goes in together.
Yeah, we don't see their user data. For all we know, that could be something that makes higher user retention. It could be good for them, but still, I feel like it should be a true shuffle.
I mean, that's not the end of the world. That's why I didn't think we were gonna like talk about it too much. So just, like,
But
throw it
it's
out
something
there.
to point out about streaming.
Yeah, bring it up, and then I think we can't not talk about like Neil Young took all his music off of Spotify.
Oh yeah.
I think we can't forget about that. I don't really have too much to say about it personally.
Remind me real quick. Can you give me some background on that? 'Cause I remember hearing about that, but then I kind of forgot about it. It's been a while. I'm gonna be doing some background Googling too, but give me a quick overview.
Yeah, so Neil Young's the biggest artist that took his music off Spotify, but I think some other people took their music off Spotify. But so he took his music off specifically because he felt that the Joe Rogan podcast was sharing misinformation about the COVID-19 pandemic and the vaccine. So he made it a point. It's like, hey, you either take Joe Rogan off the platform or I'm getting off the platform. But Joe Rogan is making so much money, I guess, that they were like, we're gonna take him off the platform. We're gonna like Neil Young, like see you later. But I mean, they did post. They're like, hey, come back, Neil Young, if you ever want. Like, you're welcome, obviously, because it's like he's a pretty big dude.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean that's really interesting that people are willing to take their money off the biggest streaming service, because I think he had a huge article about it, but I think in that he said he's really happy that his label stuck with him because they're losing 60% of revenue.
Wow. Yeah. So that's an insane amount.
That is insane. Yeah, and then like that breeds a question where it's like, as an artist, is it cool to take your music away from the listener? I knew that was thrown around a lot when it first happened. What's your opinion on that? I got one.
Well, at the end of the day, I think it's your art. You can do what you want, right? I don't want to talk about the politics and stuff, but if you disagree with some of the principles, you have a right to not support that thing, right? If I don't like what this is doing for a moral reason or an ethical reason, I shouldn't have to support it. And if that means taking your music off, which I guess is depriving your fans, but still, I think we have to allow that. It's an ethical decision that they're allowed to make. We may not support it, we may not agree with their reasoning, but it's their art. It's their choice what happens to it. And it's not like you're completely removing your art to be ever seen. You can still buy CDs. You could probably go. I bet Amazon Music has Neil Young.
Yeah, you can go on any other streaming service.
It's not like it's hard to find. You go on YouTube. You just Google on YouTube Neil Young music video or Neil Young video of lyrics, right? You can find it. It's not like you can never hear his music ever again. So whether or not you agree with that decision, I think you have a right to determine what's going to happen with your music and what's going to happen with your art.
I think it's very cool because I don't think you should get into music for money, but once you do, it's kind of nice to have that money. But then I think it's also very cool to be able to put yourself in some, I guess he's not really doing it, but the idea of putting yourself in this financial insecurity because something you don't support is happening to the site. I like holding the huge multi-billion-dollar corporation to a higher standard. It's like, hey, don't have this on here. But I mean, Spotify did delete I think they said 10,000, tens of thousands of podcast episodes about the COVID pandemic that were misinformed, which is cool. But I think I don't really care about the COVID. That's neither here nor there. But if something happens, if the leader of the thing, it's like the art versus the artist. It's it's the content versus the content farm. It's if the farm's not good, then leave.
Yep.
But
and
I think
even
it's cool.
You have your own opinion on whether or not it's good or whether or not the farm is bad or not, but I think you should always have a right to pick, where your stuff goes.
Yeah, I think it was cool that he was if anybody comes with me, join. Anybody, I hope more people will join me because it's something he really, it's really something he stands for, and he's like, okay guys, come with me and let's make it a thing. This can't happen again. Which if something else does happen, it's nice to have that like idea that like I won't be the first person to do it. Like somebody else as big as Neil Young did that, and he was still supported by his label. Which I mean, it's a different story to like say somebody with like 1 million listens than somebody like Neil Young. Like he's huge.
He's set up, you know, probably most of his life.
Yeah.
It's not as big of a sacrifice, but no, I get it.
I don't think that the blind greed should get in the way of your ideals and your values.
Music should be about art, not about money. I mean, it is about money. That's what we live in. But one thing that stood out to me that you recently mentioned that though is you said that Neil Young lost 60% of his income, right, by going on Spotify.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking it up, and Spotify, according to Google, I'm not gonna, guys, this is not a great source, but according to Google, Spotify has a 30.5% market share of streaming services. And the next biggest one after that is Apple Music at 13.7. So that means that Spotify is over double the market share of its biggest rival. Which,
that's insane. Yeah.
That's not quite monopoly levels, but still, let's get close to that. So what kind of world are we living in where they're really only like I didn't realize how big it's more than double its competitors. That means that, you know, it's bigger than Spotify and Apple Music put together. Like that's crazy to think about. Like if you aren't on Spotify, you aren't making money. Which means that if you don't agree with Spotify for its morals, you don't agree with, you know, ethical reasons, you can't make money. Or you're gonna make way less money than you could, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not healthy when that company controls so much.
When I read that it was 60% of his market share from one streaming service, I was like, that is absolutely like that's bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, like having all that power, we give Spotify so much power. But I mean, like they do some things. Like I don't remember when like everybody was complaining about it. They did add like on the bottom of on an artist. They add that thing where it's like you can buy this sweatshirt, you can buy their CD, you can buy their album and stuff, right? I don't know if you've ever seen that, but on the way bottom, and if you buy anything off there, the artists use it because Spotify charges like the least royalties out of like anywhere else, I think. It's like very close, and that's like one of the things they did to help people make more money. So if you want to support them, that'd be the best place to support them. But Spotify does make some money off of it.
Yeah, but that keeps adding their market share. You know, and competition's pretty healthy when it comes to business.
Yeah.
And in this market, there's not really any competition.
Yeah, I think that's good though. What else did they do? And like Spotify also gave like an option for like artists to like they get rid of some of the money they're making from the song, but they get to go in this playlist that like is like really advertised, I guess. Which it's kind of like a give and take because it's like you gotta not take as much money, but you want the publicity, so it's like a gamble.
It's kind of like losing out on money for advertising. Like almost like you're paying for advertising, sort of.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of crazy, seeing that they don't pay much in the first place. But you know, but it is a huge thing, so I guess it's like one of the biggest markets of music. Yeah. So I guess that's fine. I like it's like if you're a smaller artist, that's kind of a risk to do. But it's nice that they're like giving it out there. Okay, and then before we get to the my big topic, I think this is what I really got. I was thinking about here I'll give you an example. Austin, what do you listen to?
What do I listen to?
Yeah, what do you listen to?
Just like in general, or like a certain song.
Like, what do you listen? Like, what do you listen to in general?
In general? Let's see. This week I've been getting more into rap. I gotta say, listening to some.
Well, like I mean, like in general, like what's your favorite genre?
Genre, rock.
And like, what genres do you listen to?
Like metal, acid rock, 80s rock, 90s rock, grunge, punk, pop rock.
So you would say a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything, yeah.
Okay, you didn't feed into my example good enough.
Oh, I'm sorry. What should I have said? Should I have said everything?
A little bit of everything right away.
Tristan, I listen to a little bit of everything.
So Austin, what do you listen to?
I listen to a little bit of everything, Tristan.
Even T-Pain?
Even T-Pain.
Only T-Pain.
Only T-Pain. Yeah, I forgot that's the genre, right? The only genre that exists is T-Pain.
T-Pain, well, EDM and pop?
Yep, that's what we said last week, I think. Right?
Yeah, so basically, like how often do you hear that people say, I listen to a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah, pretty often.
Like, I don't know exactly, but like 20 years ago, I highly doubt that everybody was like, I listen to everything.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't, it wasn't as accessible.
Unless you have a ton of money spent on records, there's no way.
Yeah. So it was like kind of cool to like have. I bet it was. I guess I can't really say it because I was never in that time. But I bet it was kind of cool to have like this own scene. It's like, what do you listen to? I listen to rock. I listen to pop. It's like you surround yourself with people that listen to that then. But nowadays it's like, wait, what do you listen to? Oh, I listen to this. Oh, I gotta check them out. Which I think there's obviously benefits on both sides. But like nowadays it's like, what do you listen to? Like, what do you like? It's like, I don't know. I like a little bit of everything. Back in the day, it's like you knew what your favorite was. Because that's the artist you paid $20 per record for. That's the artist you paid. You read all their interviews. You did all this. Nowadays, you can just look it up. You don't need to like go out of your way to do stuff.
Yeah. There was probably more community back in the day, or more like avid listeners back in the day, maybe. And again, it's hard to say for sure.
So I think that's just a really interesting thought. Yeah, and then like, but I know this one for sure. As well, if we're through stories, there was always like a hierarchy. Like if you were a rocker, you felt like you were better than like somebody that listens to pop. If you were a metalhead, you felt like an outcast.
Yup.
And like, I mean, if you look at rock and pop, they're the same corporate cash grab. Like,
yeah,
they're both like overdone. I mean, like, I think pop has really great songs. I think rock has really good stuff. And like, I think they're really good in general. But like, they do have the same like money when it goes into it. You know, like Led Zeppelin didn't make music because they loved it so much, or like, you know, they did, but like
they did, but they also made it to make money.
Not this like, but everybody looks at pop. It's like, oh, they're making this corporate song. It's like, well, Led Zeppelin did the same thing on a lot of their songs. Like, they did it for money at a certain point, or they did it to keep up like with what they're doing at a certain point.
Elvis was in it for the money a lot of times. He's like one of the king of rock, you know.
And he's like the coolest. I like Elvis a lot.
Yeah, Elvis is super cool.
Or like, oh, and then like, have you ever heard of the mods versus rockers?
I don't think so. No.
So it's like it was back in like the 50s. I don't even know the difference in these two genres. But you got the rockers and you got the mods, which I really don't know, other than like a clothing and like public opinion of you, I guess. But like there's like accounts of like full on street fights and stuff because there's mods versus rockers. And nowadays we group it all up into one big genre of rock because there's no difference. But back then there was like a hierarchy. So I think with like this, so like back in the day you had such an attachment to what you listened to that like you were so proud of it that you had this like hierarchy, which could make people feel worse. But nowadays I don't think we can really have that.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, like, I guess you can feel like your music's more intelligent, but you're never gonna have the thing where it's like, oh, I'm so attached to rock because that's the only thing I can get my hands on. It's like, oh, well, I've listened to this, I've listened to this, I've listened to this, you know?
The community's a little more splintered. It's not like, it's a little hard to find your kind of people and stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing to be able to listen to everything and, like, be able to be in every scene. But I'm like, that's just something I wanted to point out. I don't have an opinion on it. I just think there's advantages of being how it was. I think there's advantages of being now how it is now. And I would rather take now because I love listening to punk. I love listening to like samba, I like calypso, all that stuff from across the world too. I wouldn't be able to get my hands on that stuff. Like I love metal, rock, I like pop, rap, some rap. I'm trying to get into it still.
Yeah.
But like jazz, it's like all this stuff you wouldn't get into from back in the day.
Yeah, there's so much more variety and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I said earlier. That's one of the big benefits. There's a lot of content stream.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the big benefit. It's just how much variety we have nowadays.
Yeah, and it does help community because it's like, oh, Austin, have you heard this new album by I don't know, some La-di-da. Like,
yeah.
Have you ever heard of them? And it's like, no? Well, you want, like, instead of me giving you my record, so I can't listen to it anymore. Or, like, going to your house, like, you can go to your house and play it. That's, like, that's, like, the classic story. It's like, you go to your house and, like, play Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. But, like, now I can be like, hey, listen to this. Listen to this playlist I made that, like, reminds me of, like, you. It's like, this is music I think you're gonna like.
Yeah.
Boom. Send it right over. You listen to it.
Send it over a snapper and text, and boom. Or you're in the car, you get some guy in aux, he plugs in, and boom, listen to his music. Or you're at work, and the guy says, hey, listen to this while you work, so you put it on your queue, and you're listening to it and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool that you can, like, put music in it. It's kind of like mixtapes, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was kind of cool to think about. I've thought about that a lot. That, like, you don't really know what you like, because I can imagine back in the day, it's like, oh, what's your favorite dude? Oh, I love the Beatles. But now it is like, oh, I like the Beatles, I like Beach Boys, I like Pink Floyd, I like Led Zeppelin, I like, it just keeps going on and on. That was just classic rock, but it's like, I like Taylor Swift, I like Ed Sheeran, I like I like everybody. It's crazy to think about.
That's something interesting. I hadn't really thought about that before, but that's an interesting way to look at like the kind of history of music and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Another drum roll, please.
So yeah, I know we have this one big topic. Yes. Okay. Let's get into it. I'm excited to hear this.
So Spotify, it has a 0.3 to 0.5, right? That's not for anybody else. No other streaming service has like a this much money to this much money that I was looking up.
Yep.
It pays more money or less money based on where the listen comes from.
Huh.
So
that's kind of a bombshell.
The way I look at it is perpetuating Eurocentric views of music. Yeah, that's my bombshell.
Okay. So the Eurocentric bias of Spotify.
Yes, so.
Well, okay, so then where does the money come from? Like, who pays the most? Like, is it Americans, Europeans?
Yeah, Europe and U.S. So the Western culture pays the most.
So that then is putting a bias on
And
Western
that-
culture.
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay, now there's something there.
yeah, the way I look at it is like if you are, if you're from Africa and you play like a drum circle or something.
music.
Yeah, that'd be Africa, but yeah. I mean, not Africa, that'd be Australia. But,
I thought you said Australia. I heard you wrong. I thought that.
I heard myself wrong. But
Oh.
yeah, so I mean, like, they play like drum circle, like traditional drum circle. That's like a big hit in Africa, but you only get paid 0.3 cents a listen. When people that like make the Western Eurocentric music are getting paid 0.5. So it's like that's a whole listen. That's a whole extra listen to make a cent.
That's a good point. It pays more to cater to a Western audience.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, as somebody like
That's
I took a world history class in my college, like, so that's my appeal to authority. But it's like we learn about so many like things, so many like genres and so many like cultures across the world, and to see that like Spotify, the biggest streaming service, is like perpetuating the idea that they like financially, they don't have to, obviously they're not told to, they're not like doing it, but they're like encouraged to make music that would best be like accepted in Western culture. So it's like this, like these can have like, they can have like awesome Mongolian throat singing or something, and like that might be a big hit in Mongolia or like that area, but you're gonna get a lot more money if you were to make classic rock or like, Western pop.
Yup. And it's not like the majority of people live in those, Western countries. Like, I don't know if Spotify exists in China because of the government, but China has a huge percent of the world's population, right?
Mm-hmm.
India has a huge percent of the world's population. Like, it's not like there's like not. And I would assume those people like listen to music. I think it's a pretty natural thing.
And I think India is really interesting.
Right.
Because.
Oh, really? Why so?
Well, because like that has a huge music scene. Like it has a huge, and not a lot of people know it. Not a lot of people listen to it. But the thing
Outside
about
of India,
it's like if you're popular in India, you're getting probably 2 listens to every 1 listener in America. So the money does even out, but it's not proportionate. Just because there's a higher population here, doesn't mean you should be getting treated different.
Yeah. Everyone should be treated equal when it comes to how much they pay and stuff.
I think like something like if you look at like I've used the example like disco. Like you look at disco, how it was. It's like it's for more marginalized communities. Like it was made for the LGBT community mainly, for discotheques and stuff. So they'd meet up there. They had a sense of community, and as like time went on, hatred like corrupted it to be like hate, like disco sucks, like that's a whole thing. Disco sucks is like a huge thing. It was a huge cultural movement. They burned, like, they went to, I think it was in Chicago. They went to they went to like a stadium and burnt a ton of like, not CDs, but like they burnt, I think it's like 1978. They burnt a bunch of the records, right? And it's like that is ruining, like it's ruining a culture in a sense. And then later on it becomes whitewashed. It's like, oh, Disco Stew and John Travolta from Saturday Night Live, like think like or Saturday Night Fever, not live.
No.
But like, think like that.
That would
Like,
be interesting. In Saturday Night Live.
yeah.
Well, I already do music, but you know what I mean.
There might be that, but I mean, like, we look at that and it's like when you think of, when I said disco, you thought of like the Bee Gees and like, you know, that kind of stuff. You thought of like dancing. It's
yeah,
like
the more Western whitewash.
But it's like,
yeah,
it is like, I mean, it is Western in how it started, but it's like more, it's like a scene for LGBTQ, which at the time wasn't like a good, they weren't accepted nearly as much as they are. I'm not saying they are now, but like as much as they are now, it's like they were like demonized still back then, and like it was a place for like people of color also. So then like seeing this still perpetuated in like, it's still kind of a small way, but it's like if you're from, like, if you make samba music in Brazil and most of your listens come from Brazil, you're not making as much money as, you know, you would be if you just made, you know, I don't know, like Despacito or something, you know, like, it's very westernized. You gotta get like a western pop star and stuff, and it's like, I do think it's awesome that like, it's like, I'm saying like a lot. I think it's awesome that we're having these artists shoot up in the, like, J Balvin, he's from, I don't know where he's from, but he's from like South America, and he's huge in America now. And I think, yeah, like there's more of those. Like, I mean, Daddy Yankee that's Despacito's dude, so he's huge, and it's like, that's good to see that, like, see the diversity coming to America, but at the same time, it's like they're getting paid less for listens of their own, like listens where their music would be the biggest.
One small caveat I should mention though, I looked it up. It seems, from what I was reading, it seems like Spotify does charge slightly less to non-Western countries for the plans. But I still think you're 100% right. I'm just saying that's one small caveat we should bring up. But I still agree that they should, that it's still putting an emphasis on Western countries, which is not good.
Yeah, I mean, see, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm not really talking about the money part of it. I'm just talking about the idea part, because like, because like the money is like also a thing. It's like, but like, in your mind, it's like, I'm gonna make a song, and I want it to appeal to the Western culture because I make more money. I don't want it to appeal to, like, I'm not gonna make if I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, I'm not gonna make a calypso piece that has no chance of getting big in the U.S. or Europe, because it gives me it's just like a less of a boost to make that kind of music. It's like true to yourself.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That was my thing. So it's like that's been happening forever, and to see it like still being moved on, because that no other service does that. At least when I was looking it up, like, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but like, as far as I know,
I don't know enough to say whether that's true or not, but I get what you're saying.
As far as I know, I didn't see anything about like Apple Music paying less in more like different places, and it's like they probably charge less in different places because it makes sense, because it's like, you know, the capitalism. I mean, like the GDP in India is not as high as America or something like that. You know, that's a guess. I don't know if that's true, but I think it's just crazy to see it moved like that, especially with the biggest streaming service. Like, they're from Sweden, so it's like, I guess Sweden's still Western, but like that idea, it's like,
yeah, they should be evenly splitting the value of their listeners.
Because like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. And like, if you're from like a third world country, or not even third world, just if you're from a non-Western country, it's like, it's kind of insulting that your listens don't mean as much.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's valuing other people from other countries as less than other people from other countries. You should value everyone equally. There shouldn't be a dollar amount assigned to a certain person just based on where they're from.
Yeah, I think people should stay true to themselves, and I think they should be able to make the same money if they get 1 million listeners and all the 1 million listeners are from Africa or whatever. That should be the same money as somebody that has 1 million listeners from America. You know, like some Iowa guy. Like, if you get all of Iowa to listen to a song, that should be the same as getting the equal amount of people from South Africa listening to that song, or same people from Australia listen to the song.
Yeah, I think that's a great topic to end on. Just the bias and stuff in Spotify is not good. But to kind of reiterate going through, like, I think what we discussed today is important. I think that's a good topic. So I think that's a big thing, that Spotify has bias with its listeners. Like, the Spotify doesn't pay as much as other services. It doesn't always deliver as high quality streaming as other services either. Like stuff like Amazon Music and stuff like Tidal deliver higher quality. So not to shoot ourselves in the foot, but there are definitely other options out there to listen to that are better for you, the listener, and better for the artist that puts them on that.
Yeah.
For not and that don't even charge you that much more than Spotify does.
And like, I think if you do listen to like small artists and you're on Spotify or like one of these, because like even 1.3 cents isn't that much. Like that's the most I found. And like that's not even that much money. If you want to support them, the best way to support them is like if you know them, like if they're that small, if you know them, just be positive. Be like, hey dude, keep doing your stuff. Like, you know, encourage them to have fun with it. Because that's gonna be a lot easier than that's gonna be a lot easier to stick around to make money. But like if you don't know them, if they're like a decent size, buy their merch. Like support them like that.
Merch is a great way. That has high enough profit margins they can make money off of. Merch
and it's cool. Like and then
or shows. Go to shows.
Yeah, shows are fun too. Like they're really fun and like and then like you get that story and if you buy the merch, it's free advertising. Like it's not just you can buy a sticker. Like that's decent, and then like the advertising is in itself, like that's worth quite a bit. And then like word of mouth is a huge way, because then that's like if I read an article that said, oh, listen to Samurai Sunset in the Dark or something like that. Like it's like that band. Like I'm not gonna care, but if Austin's like, hey, listen to this awesome band I found, Samurai Sunset in the Dark, it's like, oh yeah, I'll listen to it because Austin knows me as a person, like he knows my music taste, so it's like that's gonna be the best chance. So if you want to support, just
word
like
of mouth from friends. Yeah.
Be a fan. That's a huge. That's supporting your person huge. Just be a fan.
That's a great free way too to support artists. You don't necessarily put money on the line. You can just word of mouth spread, make it more popular.
Yeah, and don't feel bad if you use Spotify. Because you're still giving the artist money. Like, I mean, it's not as much, but you're still giving them. If you're 97% of our viewers from the United States, you're giving them 0.5 cents, so.
Exactly, yeah. And keep using Spotify because we're on Spotify, too.
Yeah. Well, aren't we on Apple Music, too?
We're on Apple Podcasts.
We're on Apple Podcasts.
And I believe, I think there's a third, but I can't remember what it is, to be honest. But I know we're on Apple Podcasts as well.
I think we're on web browser too. Just look us up.
Yeah. Or just look us up. We have a website hosted or something like that.
But
That's the third one.
I did want to talk about it's not really a long topic, but like the idea of how like Spotify just introduced audiobooks. So they got music, podcast, and audiobooks. So I think that's kind of interesting that like it's such a varying thing. So soon enough, like they could have like videos and stuff. It's like they could like rival anyone. Like Audible is like the big one that does books, and like Spotify making books is probably.
And Audible is owned by Amazon, so you got Amazon Music, Amazon Podcast, and now Amazon Audiobooks. Same thing, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they got like a whole bunch. Like they're kind of like now they're starting to like dip their finger in like many pies, that's kind of crazy.
There's only a matter of time they might start doing videos to compete with YouTube. I mean, it'd be insane to compete with YouTube. I mean, YouTube is more of a monopoly. I mean,
YouTube's got it down. But yeah, I think that's kind of cool and kind of scary that like you can just like get on the league. You can have one app for like your whole life. You can be like you can have all the content you need. You can have books. You can have podcasts. You can have music. And like eventually there's gonna be a lot more stuff on there. I bet.
Yeah, that is a little scary thing about it. That's a nice foreboding thought to to think on.
All right. What's our outro? Music's cool. Listen to it. The more you listen, the more you pay your artist. Be a fan.
Be a fan.
Of Only Us.
Support the artist.
And T-Pain.
Yep. You either have North No Return or T-Pain. Those are two choices.
Yep.
Pick
At
one
the
or the other.
same time.
No Return.
Yeah. We actually made this.
To us and T-Pain.
We made this. We made this episode to the exact beats per minute as T-Pain's one of his albums. You gotta find out what one and tell us.
Yeah, actually, if you play this podcast in reverse, it's just T-Pain singing.
Yeah, it is.
Fun fact.
That's why I said like so many times.
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly.
Dude, we gotta get T-Pain on the podcast. I'll ask him tomorrow.
Dude, imagine that. Yeah, we should hit him up. We should DM him on Instagram.
Yeah, he owes me a favor, so.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. For the thing you did for him last week.
Yeah, I helped him with his grandma. Remember?
Yeah. No, I was there. I didn't help. I just watched.
Yeah, I know. You were sitting on the couch when we were trying to move it, and it was like, okay, well, if you're not gonna help, can you at least?
Me to the air.
Yeah, you're not even like helping, but you're part of the problem. And then you got off the couch, went back to the room, and sat on the TV that we were trying to move. It's like, why are you sitting on a
Tristan,
TV?
I don't solve problems. I cause problems.
Yeah, I know. All this podcast is just cleaning up your messes.
Exactly. Yeah. I say random stuff just to make sense out of it.
I mean,
that's what this podcast.
The reason we're making this podcast is because that deal you have with, who was it again? John Lennon. Yeah.
John Lennon. Yeah.
You're talking to this ghost, and it's like, I'm gonna make a podcast about you. Why do you think we talked about the Beatles so much in the beginning?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm constantly haunted by the ghost of John Lennon.
Yeah.
So I have to. If I don't say the Beatles every couple days, he'll come to my family. So
yeah, that's why we make this. We gotta get, what do you say? How many listens? We gotta get 18,000 listens.
18,000
before we can stop. So this is
let me free.
It's gonna be around until we get enough
what
listens.
else need to fill?
We're gonna have 1,000 episodes.
Exactly.
Well, that was an outro. Maybe we should have told them about the lore of North No Return. That's why it's called No Return.
Because there is no. If this doesn't come out, there's no return for me.
Yeah, and John Lennon's from New York, or he died in New York, so north of no return.
Yep.
So
north.
Yep. So that's our lore. Well, so that being the case, bring your friends. If they're ghosts, bring them. John Lennon probably knows them or something. They probably know John Lennon.
Yeah. I have ghost parties every weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well,
awesome,
thank you guys for listening. Yeah. Listen to music. Listen to Spotify. Listen to Apple Music. Listen to wherever you want to listen to. But just be more conscious about that.
Yeah. I mean, my personal recommendation is Tidal, even though I am shooting myself in the foot. I don't listen to Tidal, but I have tried it before, and it was pretty cool. So, if you're looking for if you're just getting into it, try Tidal, and you can tell them that Tristan sent you, and you'll get a 0% discount.
Yeah, a whole 0%.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like a hole, literally a hole.
A hole. Yeah, it's a big O.
Yeah.
A big hole. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
This has been Tristan.
Until next time.
That's Austin.
This has been Austin.
And we're awesome.
Stay north.
Yep. Stay north of no return, and don't let any ghosts follow you along. Invite a friend.
Don't make blood oaths with John Lennon. All right. Bye.
Rock and roll.